short area. Come to James, he shoots! Oh, what a goal from Tom James! That was a volley, and that was vital for Richie Wellens then.
Welcome to Orient Live. It's an absolute scorcher here in E10 today, and the O's are looking to crank the heat up another degree still as they look to go 3 wins on the bounce to open the league season for the first time since 2015. But it's a strong Mansfield Town side that stand in their way this afternoon, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined this afternoon by the original duo of Andrew Butler and Glenn Wilkie. First of all, boys, I hope you're coping all right in this heat, but I don't think we'll be the ones struggling. It's got to be a hot one for the players out there today.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're fortunate we get to go and sit in the stands after this half an hour, because I tell you what, it is stiflingly hot pitch side. It's going to be probably even hotter in the middle of the park as well. It really is kind of one of those games and one of those days where as much preparation you can go to Portugal for a week pre-season, it still won't help you, because it's remarkably hot today, and it will probably have some factor on today's game. But you know, it might just then become a battle of wits about who can cope with it best.
And it is probably the toughest test of the season so far. Mansfield narrowly losing in the playoff final last season. It's a tough test for Richie Wellens' side today, but maybe a good marker of what we want to do this season.
Yeah, definitely. We know where they finished last year. They were unfortunate not to go up. They are a good side. They're a physical side, but they play good football as well. Not sure they've won one and lost one this season so far. So I think you can gauge it after about 4 or 5 games once it settles down a bit. So the heat's going to play a factor. It doesn't matter who we'll be playing against today, whether it's a team who's lost their first 2. The heat's going to probably be the main opponent, you know, today, because it's about game management, when to slow it down, when to really go and attack and really put your mark on the game. But you can't go at it like you would for 80, 90 minutes like you have in the previous weeks. I would fully expect to see the 5 substitutions today. I think they'll all be used, because the weather will have a massive impact. But it'll be a tough game. It'll be a really, really good test. But I think we'll be all right.
Well, it certainly will be a tough one in this heat. But let's take a look at the starting lineup for the O's this afternoon and who will be battling it out in this roaring 35-degree heat. So in goal for the O's, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. Number 2, Tom James. At the back, number 5, Dan Happy. Number 7, Paul Smith. 11, Theo Archibald. Number 14, George Moncur. And a debut for new signing, number 15, Idris El Mizouni. And the skipper, number 18, Darren Pratley. Partnering Dan Happy at the back is number 19, Omar Beckles. Leading the line, number 23, Charlie Kelman. And number 32, Rob Hunt. And those subs that probably will be also important this afternoon. Number 1, Sam Sargent. 4, Shadoji. 6, Adam Thompson. 9, Harry Smith. 10, Ruel Sotiriou. 12, Jordan Brown. And 24, Jaden Sweeney. So he signed yesterday, Andrew, and he's straight into the starting lineup this afternoon. Number 15, Idris El Mizouni, just joined on loan from Ipswich Town. What are you expecting from the new lad?
Yeah, well, I mean, on paper it looks like a really decent signing, another kind of ambitious signing, bringing him in from Ipswich, obviously, you know, in leagues above us. So it's always good to pick up players like that. It looks like he's going to be playing in the number 4 central midfield role rather than number 8, although he has said in his signing on video that he's able to do both as well. So that's quite nice. I mean, I think these are always going to create good problems as well. So Clay's got a dead leg, so he's out for today's game, but it just creates a bit of competition. You know, the thing about signing a player and then putting them straight in is it suggests like a couple of things. It suggests that Richie Wellens likes what he's seen of him on the training pitch on a Friday, and then thought, yeah, right, he goes straight in, and also that he rates him high enough to say, you know what, you can fit into our system, and you can probably be able to communicate with all the lads straight away, which is, I always think that it's quite a brave thing to do, but it also suggests that he's got the ability that he kind of, even though he might not be able to understand the system fully, his ability should be able to shine through.
And Tom James obviously played in that number 4, that defensive midfield position. Do you think maybe that this is something that Richie's seen from the first few games and then decided to go out and fill that spot?
Well, he's been vocal, hasn't he, last couple of weeks about getting a player in that holding midfield role. He said with obviously this was before Craig Clay got injured last week. He was saying we need an extra body in there, maybe 2. Craig Clay's obviously picks up a knock last Saturday, missed Tuesday night, he's missing again today, so it was desperate we got someone through the door. From what we know about Mizouni, he's a good player. Like Andrew said, he can play as an 8 and number 4. I think, like you just said about the manager trust him to come in today. On the flip side of that, if he does come in and sit in front of the back 4 in that holding midfielder role, that's the easier position out of the 2 to slot into, because he hasn't got to do too much and he can find his way. He hasn't got to be bombing into different positions. He can just sit there and hold, pick the ball up and just pass it on 1-2 touch. So I think he'll fit in really, really well today, but it's not as difficult as if he was going to come in that number 8 position.
And it also means, Andrew, that Tom James slots back to his maybe more regular position at right back. He's the name on everyone's lips. He's the star boy at the moment, and we know how dangerous he can be from that right back position as well. So does that make a bit more sense to you as well?
Well, I think it makes much more sense as well. I mean, like I said, this is a great problem to have, because obviously we've got a player who's come in who's clearly comfortable and has plied his trade as a central midfielder, and has come in and will be able to do the stuff that Tom James was doing in the first couple of games of the season. But what it brings now is that tantalising prospect of Tom James playing in his correct position, which is that right back, bombing on past the, helping out whoever it might be, Smith or Archibald on that right hand side today. We all know that his position, his best position is right back or right wing back. He was phenomenal last season in that position. Arguably probably the best player at the club. I don't think that wouldn't be overly too controversial to say that. I hope. Well, it's a good job that Lawrence Vigouroux can't hear this, because he might be the other one that is in that conversation. But it's exciting to see him back in that position, because whilst it's a right back, he's so much more than that. He doesn't just stay there. He gets forward. He's already popped up with 2 extremely good goals this season. So getting him in that familiar position is exciting for me.
And we know what he can offer going forward, Glenn. And also you've got to look at the attacking options as well. We've got a gatecrasher here. But if you look at our attacking options, Glenn,
yeah,
Kelman's leading the line today. He hasn't played many minutes. He's still maybe finding his way in this up. Ruel Satirio drops to the bench. Do you think this may be a case of Richie trying to work out his starting lineup when in that front 4 system that we play?
I think there's a bit of that, but I think with Kelman, he didn't have much of a pre-season from what I've heard. So he's, like you say, he's finding his feet within the side, but he's also trying to find his fitness. He's a good player. We know he's a good player. We need to get him sharper. We need to get him more involved, and matches do that for you. Playing competitive matches on a Saturday afternoon, Tuesday night, gets you sharper than playing behind closed doors friendlies. It's much better for him. What I like today is Paul Smith has come back into the starting lineup. We know what he's about. We saw what he was about last season with some of the remarkable goals he can score. But what he adds to the team, the energy, he lifts the supporters off their seats in the stand, when he picks the ball up, because they don't know what to expect. I don't think he knows what to do most of the time, but he just does something, switches in his brain, and he'll do a bit of magic, and he'll create something, he'll score a goal. So him coming back into the starting lineup is a real big plus for me today. I think he'll just give them that added. We've scored 3 goals in the league, 2 worldies from Tom James and a penalty. Not really scored anywhere else on the pitch. I think Paul Smith in form. We created a lot of chances Tuesday night. Yes, it was a mixed side. There was a few changes. I think we'll be looking to do the same today. Create a lot of chances, and with Paul Smith in the side, I think we'll get a few shots on target. I'm not going to say goals. I'm going to say shots on target, and I think it's a really, really good front 3.
We saw how capable they were last season, but how keen do you think Richie will be seen to see them all get off the mark as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I think massively so. I think I totally agree with what Glenn was saying about kind of actually the chances that we're creating as well, because it's very easy to forget that against Grimsby they should have gone ahead, against Crawley they should have gone ahead, and we've managed to come away from both of those games with 3 points in both of those games. So I think it's really important to not just like put in a decent performance, but also create chances like we did on Tuesday night. It was a shame on Tuesday night, because I thought like we were perhaps unlucky to not create the absolute gilt-edged chances that we should have put away, but we did a fair few shots off on goal, and we were just beaten by just about the better team on the night. So it'd be nice to get some other names on the score sheet. I mean, I think I said this on Thursday evening as part of the warm-up on Twitter Spaces that we can't rely on Tom James to score worldies. I would love it if he did go and score 46 worldies this season, but we can't rely on him to just do that every week.
We certainly can't. And as Andrew alluded to just there, if you did miss the Orient Live warm-up, make sure you head over to the Spotify and Apple podcasts to listen back to that and subscribe there. Just search Orient Live, the warm-up, and it'll be there for you to listen back to. But now, let's hear the thoughts of Orient's manager, Richie Wellens.
We'll Gaffer back into league action this weekend, and it's Mansfield Town, and it's going to be a really tough game.
Tough game, big game. Should be a good crowd. I spoke to you after the Forest Green game, and for me, Mansfield have been a work in progress for 2 or 3 years now under Nigel. And if you finish above them this year, you'll finish in the top 4 or 5. So, big game. Good club that are on the right path. Sorry, disappointed not to get promoted last year. So, be a good test for us.
It's a different challenge as well. Quite a physical side. Does that change your thinking in terms of your selection?
We're at home. If it was away, maybe a little bit more. So at home, we want to obviously implement ourselves on them. But listen, it comes down to, again, League 2. If you don't do the basics right, if you don't compete, you win individual battles, stop crosses, defend your box well against this opposition, then you're going to come unstuck. So we need to do the basics right. But on top of that, we want to start getting better with the ball as well.
2 wins from 2. Obviously, a third would be brilliant. But how important can a quick start to a league campaign be?
Well, I think I'd rather be being chased than be the chaser, because if you're 4-6 points ahead of somebody and then one weekend goes for you, that 4 or 6 points turns into 7 or 9. So I'd rather be a front runner. But again, it's way too early to be thinking anything like that. It's just an important game against a team that will be up there come the end of the season, so it's important not to lose.
Main addition to your team this weekend, adding Mizouni from Ipswich Town. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, good footballer. Got a lot of attributes. He can break the game up. He's on the front foot. He can pass the ball, and his mobility is really good. So when we play the system that we want to play, we need that number 4 to be able to cover distances, vertical but laterally as well. So we think he's a player that's probably been unlucky at Ipswich, because he's some really good midfield players at Ipswich. So his game time's been pretty limited. But one thing we can promise him here. If he's on his game, then we can promise him minutes. So I'm looking forward to working with him as a good addition to the squad.
So there's Richie Wellens' thoughts, and don't forget, Tuesday night is our first Tuesday night league fixture of the campaign, and we face Swindon Town away. And if you can't make it to that one, then this one is available to stream on Orient Live for UK and international fans. So that's for everyone to watch. Just head over to the Orient website to pick up your match pass for that one. But now let's take a look at our defensive options, boys, because it looks as though Dan Happy and Omar Beckles is the centre-back pairing that Richie's opted for. And how have you rated that pairing so far this season?
Yeah, I've been really impressed. I think we're kind of running this slightly perpetual cycle with Dan Happy, where he gets a run in the team, performs pretty well, and looks like he could then really kick on to another level. But then at the same time, then the performance just won't go his way. Particularly, then it will drop out of the team, and then his injuries will blight a part of his campaign. And then all of a sudden, you feel like he might be starting back from zero. But he's come back this season. I don't know what it is. He looks just a little bit bulkier. He looks a bit more more assured about himself. Looks more solid in defence as well. And him working alongside Beckles has really worked so far this season, thus far.
Well, it's clearly working, and they've got 2 clean sheets to their name.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're a really well balanced pairing. One right foot, one left foot. They're both very, very good on the ball. I know we're showing a few clips. Both good on the ball, feel confident on the ball. Great passers. Dan Happy is a very, very good passer, long range and not. Going back to what you said with his form up and down a bit last year, Dan Happy is such a much better centre half when he plays in a flat back four. When you play three centre halves and he's playing on the left side, he gets exposed because of his pace and the diagonal balls over his shoulder, which we found out last year. He is a better player when we're playing a back four. Him and Beckles together are strong, comfortable. They're getting to know each other more. Like the longer more games they get. I just wrote down between them they've played nearly 400 league games between them. So there's a lot of experience there. Even though Beckles is mid to late 20s, Dan Appy's early 20s, he's got a lot of experience. I think Dan Appy, Andrew said he's come back. He looks a little bit bulkier. He looks like he's stronger. He was out for a long time with that injury, so he's in the gym a lot. So he might have been doing additional work, upper body stuff, but he looks in good shape. And his form this season since he's come back in has been really, really positive. And it's paramount to what we're doing on the pitch. We're not conceding that many chances, and we're not conceded a goal in the league. So I think it's a fantastic centre-back partnership there.
I think there's an element of it that, like as a fan, you always want to see your academy graduates, want to excel, and occasionally I think fans can be a bit more like harder on the academy graduates because we expect them to just be that little bit like level up a little bit. But with someone like Dan Happy, we remember him playing as like a 17, 18-year-old, and now he is getting to that stage of his life where he does look that little bit bulkier. I know that I played football against his dad, and his dad boxed for England in the Commonwealth Games once upon a time.
I used to go to school with his dad, so I know the family well.
So it's he's come from let's say like a tough family, and he now is coming to that period of his career where he can bulk up, he can be scary to play against as well, and if he kind of can assure himself of that, then I'm sure he'll just go on and improve even more.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. I didn't have my glasses on. It's actually nearly 300 games, not 400 games. I didn't have my glasses on.
You need to sort your eyes on your handwriting out there. But how important is a settled defence for a successful side?
It's such a great building block. We all know. We've said it for season after season. You don't concede a goal, you don't lose a game. It's so good to have, especially as Lawrence Figueroa. We've got the best goalkeeper in the league as well. But he knows with the two centre halves in front of him and two good fullbacks at back four, they know they can let other teams shoot from 35 yards because they know Lawrence is a great shot stopper. But he also knows he can be more confident when he's coming off his line. Do I need to go? If he's uncertain with one or two of the defenders in the team, new signings or youngsters, his positioning could be just off, but he's comfortable with what we've got there, and the rest of the team are comfortable. They know that they're not going to ship too many chances or too many goals. I really, really like, and they're almost old school defenders. They're tough. They stand up, and that's one of the biggest things for me as a defender. Good defenders stand up. They don't do slide tackles, because if you're doing a slide tackle, that means you're out of position and you've made a mistake already. So good defenders stand up, defend, get bodies behind the ball, and then clear danger. So really, really pleased with how they started, and I think it's just a real good building block for the team and to go forward and go and win football matches.
I think we should also mention Omar Beckles as well, because I knew we were coming here to talk about these two, and I was thinking on the way here that I can't remember a mistake that Beckles has made. I'd love to be corrected. If someone can correct me.
Swindon away last year.
What did he do?
Gave the ball away and they scored.
Okay, fine. Right. He's now played 50 matches for us as well, and he really is solid. I think he's kind of probably underrated in that, like, you get players who just join a club, look settled at a club, play well, and then they kind of just go slightly unnoticed because it's like, well, he keeps on putting those performances in, and we don't really talk about him. So this is us talking about him, I hope he doesn't make a mistake today.
What I also like about him, when the game gets a bit gritty, he doesn't mind sort of getting his little elbow in, knocking us forward off his sort of balance, and he likes the dirty or the dark arts, so as they say, he likes that side of the game as well, and that's good to know, because as a centre forward going in against them two, you know you're not going to be in for an easy game. And them two I really, really like the pairing.
Well, as Andrew said, they do look to have settled in very nicely. And another man who will be looking to settle in quickly is the new signing, Idris El Mizouni. We caught up with him earlier in the week, just after he signed, and let's hear his thoughts now.
Idris, a big welcome to Leyton Orient. How do you feel about getting the deal done?
Thank you, really happy, exciting to get going, and can't wait to play.
So you're a centre midfielder, so tell us a bit about yourself.
I would say that I love to get on the ball and get the team playing, make things happen. I'm really energetic, can tackle. I think the fans gonna see me play and make their own opinion about me.
With the head coach Richie Wellens, who was keen to get this type of midfielder in at number 4, is that what you describe yourself as?
Yeah, obviously I can play number 4 and number 8. I can play both positions, and then the gaffer, when I talk to him, he want to play me as a 4, which I'm happy with, and I can do the job there. And I think it's a good move for me as well, because obviously the gaffer's trying to play. That's what I like. And then they have good players. It's a good team, so it's good.
Obviously you've come through the Ipswich Academy, but it's not an accent usually you hear in Ipswich. So do you want to tell us about obviously your background and coming over to England?
Yeah, so I'm born in Paris, but my dad's born in Tunisia and my mom's French. I grew up in Paris, and then when I was 16, 17, I moved out to Ipswich after a try, signed a scholar, and then here it is now.
And I believe when you're at Ipswich, you got to know a couple of the players that are here already?
Yeah, so I know obviously Aaron John because I play with him at Ipswich, and Anthony Georgiou as well because he was on loan at Ipswich from Tottenham.
And in terms of your time at Ipswich, obviously you got the chance to kind of move up the ranks and get into the first team, so how's it been there?
Yeah, it's been really good. I learned a lot from playing in the academy and then obviously come up to the first team. I had great coaches there, like Kieran Dyer, Brian Klug, Adam Matai. They've all been great with me. And obviously, come up with the first team, completely different environment. It's like in academy, obviously, you're playing every game. Even if you don't play, they find a game for you first team. If you don't play, you don't play. So it's been very different, but I learned a lot. And then I think I'm getting more mature in the game as well.
We're just trying to dodge the sprinklers here, but I think we're just safe. To be honest, I think we'd welcome a little shower in this heat. And don't forget, if you're watching along live on our free YouTube show, you can pick up an audio pass if you're a UK fan, or if you're an international fan, you can also pick up a streaming pass to watch along with the Orient live team. So just head over to the Orient website to do that now. But let's take a look at the visiting side for this afternoon's game, as Nigel Clough's Mansfield Town are here in E10, and in goal for the Stags, number 1 Christy Pym, number 2 Kellen Gordon, their captain number 3 Stephen McLaughlin, number 4 Elliot Hewitt, number 5 Anthony Hartigan, number 6 Riley Harbottles, number 16 Stephen Quinn, 18 Reece Oates, number 26 Will Swan, number 35 Football League legend, I think some would say, John Joe O'Toole, and number 44 Hiram Boateng. And on the bench for Mansfield this afternoon, Scott Flinders, Ollie Clark, George Maris, James Perch, Kieran Wallace, James Gale and George Lapsley. So they lost 2-1 on Tuesday night to Derby in the Carabao Cup, Andrew. But as you've said, they're a good side, and who stands out for you in that starting lineup for the Danger Men?
Well, there's a couple there. So they've got Swan and Riley Harbour on loan from Nottingham Forest. There's a big link between Nottingham Forest and Mansfield Town. They get a couple of players, like kind of how we used to with Spurs, those two have gone straight in their team. They're very, very highly rated at Forest, and they're very highly rated at Mansfield. But they are young. They can be got at. So Riley Harbour at the back can be got at, and we were just talking about Beckles and Happy. They just need to stick one on Will Swan, and then hopefully we'll keep him quiet for the rest of the day. But Hiram Boateng as well is a really key player for Mansfield. He's a really, really excellent player, someone that I really like. He kind of shouldn't be playing at this level, really. He started his career at Crystal Palace. He's a big, rangy centre midfielder, 6 foot tall. He's got a lovely left foot though. He's got a really, really deft touch with his left foot. He kind of gets around the pitch well, puts in the challenges, but he's got a lovely range of passing as well. So we need to be keeping him quiet. He plays in the centre midfield, so there's a bit of work. There's a bit of work for Moncur and then the new lads as well in the centre midfield. So it's going to be a really tough test for them in the centre midfield. But if we can keep Boateng, Swan, Harbour all quiet, then we should be on our way to success.
And how do you think the O's have to deal with this one, Glenn? It's a strong Mansfield side. We know the heat. How do we get joy on a day like today?
I think chances could be few and far between. I think we need to be clinical in front of goal, because the longer the game goes on, I spoke about the 5 substitutions, the heat's going to have a real impact, and it's going to slow the game down. It naturally will happen. When that happens, both teams, they're not going to be firing on all cylinders, in the second half. They're not going to be really attacking. So I think we need to get some early opportunities in this first half while everyone's full of energy and try and take them, get in front. Then we can set up a little bit differently, get more bodies behind the ball. Then they've got to come and attack us. Their energy levels will drop and they'll be drained in the second half. So I just think first 2 goals is really, really key for us, and if the quicker we can get them, the better, because if we're chasing the game in the second half, it's not going to do us any favours.
Well, the O's will be hoping to get off to a quick start, and kick-off is very nearly here, but let's remind ourselves of the starting lineup this afternoon for Leyton Orient. In goal for the O's, number 22 Lawrence Vigouroux, number 2 Tom James, number 5 Dan Happy, 7 Paul Smith, 11 Theo Archibald, 14 George Moncur. It's a debut for number 15 Idris El Mizouni, and he's joining the captain Dan Pratley in midfield, with Omar Beckles joining Dan Happy at the back, and Charlie Kelman, number 23, leading the attack, and Rob Hunt, number 32, sliding in at left back. And on the bench for the O's, Sam Sargent, Shad Oji, Adam Thompson, Harry Smith, Ruel Tiriou, Jordan Brown and Jaden Sweeney. And we mentioned it at the top of the show, but how big could it be today, Andrew, to kick off the season with hopefully another 3 points and, let's be greedy, another clean sheet?
Well, I mean, it's really important at this stage of the season to not get too carried away. I think 2 wins in 2 is absolutely the perfect start. Of course, extending that to 3 would make it even better, but at the same time, we will be facing tough games this season, and Mansfield will be, in my opinion, one of those teams that will be there or thereabouts and be challenging for automatic promotion. So this will be a really, really tough game for us. We have to go out with the confidence that we will get all 3 points as well, because we've shown this so far this season. We've got it in us, and we've got it in us to not only get all 3 points, but like you say, keep clean sheets. But it will be a really tough game, and I mean, it can't be said enough. The heat will play a massive factor. I really expect it to be played at a fairly a lower tempo than we often see here, because the players will get tired, and hopefully they just don't burn themselves out.
The players are in the tunnel now. I'm not sure if we can see them on camera, Glenn, but how will they be feeling ahead of this? I can see the sweat coming off your forehead. We'll try and get you a sweatband.
I just bent over to stim my laces out, that was why.
We'll try and get you a sweatband, Glenn. But how will they be feeling as we approach kick-off in this heat?
Oh, they'll be full of confidence. 1-2 out of 2, not conceded a goal, playing at home in front of a great crowd on a great pitch, sun's in the sky shining brightly. Well, what's not to love? You're going out, you're doing the best job in the world. Go out there, give these supporters something to cheer about, and get them off their seats.
Well, hopefully that is going to be the case here. The players are making their way out onto the pitch, and it's time to pass over to the very capable hands of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Nice one.